We give me a little, might not be enough though. Let's see. That wasn't even, I would have gotten caught up on that eventually, but well, maybe. Oh. Take a look. You see, I don't know if you can see, I'll put my light right on it. It's under there. So that heart looking thing is under there. It's attached to the underside of this intake. Here's these two wires I gotta get. String those. Might need a new angle to look at this, see what's holding me up. Actually, that's like a breather hose, or it's like a little valve or something. I'm wondering, I was just looking to see if this is attached or how it's attached. So I gotta get it unattached because it's hooked on there. I might have to put it back in because it's so skip ahead a little bit here. I did take that alternator out. Gave me a lot more room, but I'm still not home free. It was a quick connect in the back. So this is the back of the valve cover, and similar down here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the same thing. There is a wire attached to it. So at this point, you can clean it without going any further, I'm gonna just take it out all the way because I just don't want it to be in my way when I do the filter housing gasket. So at the moment I'm hung up on a couple of plugs in the back there. They're clips, but they have very tiny tabs, and so I need to use a pick to push the tabs in the middle, the pointy pick, kind of like an ice pick. So I'm just going to poke at those, pop them out. Oh, and there's another cable. That cable, you know, maybe I can just undo that cable. And that'll help me. Well, decisions. I think this has gotta come out anyways. Let's so the bottom hose is the bottom plug, the top hose is the third from the bottom, the second from the bottom, I don't know where that goes, and the top is goes from that plug to the separator. But again, the bottom hose is the bottom plug. Sure, it looks like that's how it comes out. Yeah. I'll tell you what. This is a ground. I'm just gonna unscrew that, and that'll give me even more room. That's 13 mil. Oh, of course, it's not that simple. It's an actual plug in the way also. Wait, oh, maybe. I gotta get a better look. Yeah. Don't know that that plug is really doing much. Stop it. Actually, it is. All right, hold on. Oh, that's why I got scratches all over my head. Try to squeeze into tight places. Got no hair to protect me. Yeah, see it. Oh, and it broke that fucking ear again. Another one of these. And again, just one of those little ears broke off. Should hold okay. And now this should slide off. Okay. And now, oh fuck. The quick connect on this bottom one is broke. I hope that doesn't mean that I gotta replace this thing. So there's another hose that goes to the bottom of that heart-shaped thing, the oil separator, and the quick connect on that is broke. So that explains why it was unconnected, because it probably was just lightly fitted into place. So I'm this far now. Question is, yeah, see, it's still. Oh, I got one of those here. You know, it's the same kind right here. May have to actually pry this up without breaking. Okay, that frees me up from the front quite a bit. Still got stuff, those wires in the back. So I gotta do those the way I just did that one. I gotta pry up the tab again, be careful. Manipulate it around. I wish I could just do one, but I think it's gonna make me do them all. Side was a lot easier. Okay, so there's one. I guess I don't need to undo the top one because that's this hose here. Oh no, that's the third from the bottom one up, so I guess at least one more. That might be enough. Right. There's my manifold. Actually came out not too terrible. So on the hose on the bottom, it's cracked on the side here. So that one actually goes under here. This one goes like that, and then to the back of the valve. So I'll leave this one hooked up so I can remember where it goes. I guess I can set this aside. You can see this heart-shaped thing here. That's what I describe it as. I believe that's your oil separator. I don't think you can quite, oh yeah, you can see it right where this ground is, right behind it. That's your starter down there. So, running out of room, got some big bulky parts. And so, if you can see that, you can see that that's broke. I think I'm looking at it, and I mean, it might be okay. I don't know. Because to replace that, it is a royal pain in the buttocks. Actually, kind of see it, but I'm gonna try and feel it instead. It kind of connects a different way. Might get a price on that and see how much that is, and if I get a new one, I'll be able to see how it connects with the new one. As far as those two funky wires, I don't see those. I don't remember where those came from. That might have actually been on the back. Yeah, that would have been unnecessary actually, now that I'm looking at it. So I did that a lot a long time ago. I was a bit more of a novice back then, so it explains why I'm not doing that now. It would be pretty sweet if I could get this hose unhooked, because it disconnected itself. I didn't know that was even connected. I saw it sitting there a few minutes ago. So even though it's, you know, gravity is holding it on that way, if there's pressure, it could pop out. And I didn't intentionally disconnect it, so it it must have just wiggled loose, and I don't want that. I want it to be nice and secure. It's got what looks like a quick release again, but again it's a little bit different. Let's see if I can get a good angle here. This will give me a good opportunity to kind of clean out the top of the engine, get all this crud off of it. Yeah, I'm convinced that that's a some sort of quick release. So I just need to get that out. So basically I'm there. I'll fight with that, get that out. I need to make sure that both of those hoses are nice and clear and clean. And then I suppose once I got that, actually I don't even really need to consider, I can keep going if I want to, and get this taken off. Decisions. Okay, let's pause there. Alright, I'm under the car right now to change the oil and also change out the oil level sensor. Changing out the oil level sensor theoretically isn't that difficult, but like everything else on this project so far, everything wants to fight me. So my big hang up on this were these two tabs. There's two, points that this clips onto. Actually, I'll show you. So on here, there's two little tabs. You can see that when you look at the new part. So for me to get that off, theoretically, you're supposed to just squeeze these two tabs on the sides, but that wasn't working. So what I had to do was I had to use a couple of straight picks and shove them in the back to be able to free them. I had both of them in there like that, and with much grief I was finally able to get it off. Again, that's a part that could break, and if it does, well, actually, I don't have my flashlight, but it kind of just goes right here, but at the same time, that doesn't look like something that just easily unplugs either. So yeah, no. So anyways, got the oil drained, stopped, plugged back up. I actually forced this through here just to be able to work on it a little bit better. It looks to me like there's this remnant of a gasket on here. I'm just gonna peel that off, and I'm gonna wipe it down just so it's clean. I didn't really watch any videos on this per se. I think I did once before. I don't think there's really much to it. Mostly just wanted to kind of explain that that those pins could be a real pain in the butt. So the other thing is seeing this gasket on here kind of made me wonder if I had to buy yet another gasket. So I looked at the new part, and it looks like there's one on there, right there. If you compare to the old one where that red band is, it looks like, I don't know if you can see that. Oh, there we go. So this is the old one. I think that's missing, so I think that's what was stuck on there. So I'm pretty sure that this is good just like this. Don't think I need a gasket, because I think this is the gasket right here. A little bit of rubber. Okay, so anyways, to put this on and to take it off, actually, it looks like the pattern is a little bit asymmetrical, but I think it goes this way so that the plug can plug into it. So it should be pretty straightforward if I got it lined up right. I'll change my position. I can't see so good that way. Oh yeah, just like that. And it just takes 3 10mm nuts. By the way, I did have to lower this shield slightly. I took a few bolts out of here because I wasn't able to get this plug out when it was up in here in this position. So, and you saw how tall that was. Just double checking I put the right part in there, but yeah, you saw how tall that was. I just hit the camera. Where are we at? Right there. Anyways, so it's just the 3 nuts. I guess I'm struggling to get that to stay in the camera. Let's go like that. It'll fall over. Son of a gun. I guess that's good enough. But like I said, if you need to do that, it just takes a couple of bolts to get it loose enough to be able to pull it down, you know, and get the long part of that part out. Don't think I need to replace any hardware on this. I always like to start my nuts and bolts by hand just to make sure I don't accidentally cross thread them, and I say that because I've done it. And fighting a cross threaded bolt really sucks. So I avoid it at all costs. I don't know what's worse, a cross-threaded bolt or a bolt that breaks off, to be honest with you. So this is ready to be screwed in. You know, I want to, being that I have the socket on for right now, I'm just going to put these 3 bolts in real quick. Shouldn't be any big deal to plug that back in. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just plug it in first, since that is really the correct way. And there's a lot of oil in this, so maybe I'll give it a wipe. As far as why I'm replacing it, it did come up on the inspection I had done some time ago as needing to be replaced, as that it was defective. I never had a problem with it, really. Except sometimes it would be a little, I don't know if inaccurate was the right word, but like it maybe kind of depended on how hot the engine was, so you could check it and then check it again like 10 minutes later and it might give you a slightly different reading. So I never had any problems. I just kind of figured it out, topped it off when it needed it. But I did one time about, I guess, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago, I did one time have it where it just said inactive, and it did that for a couple of days and then it went away. So I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to replace it for the next guy. And this is okay, probably was trying to do it upside down. You know, let's wipe this some more. Make sure it's as clean as can be. Every time I set it up there, it gets dirty again. Alright, don't set it up there. And snap it in. Is my big head in the way? Probably. Alright, so that's snapped in. I can screw in the shield. I just took out 3 screws. Part of me wants to take it all off and clean it all out real good, but that's a lot of work. Again, if I was gonna keep it, maybe I would. One thing I did do and will do is I took this bottom engine plate off, which you do have to do to get access to this. It's I don't know, it's like 6 or 7 16 mil bolts. And I'm gonna clean that because that's disgusting. It's directly under all of this, so these don't need to be that tight. Although that pan, the bolts were pretty loose, the one that I'm gonna clean up later, and those should be a little tighter than what those were. So anyways, tighten these, and this part of the job will be done. If I can find my 10. Where'd you go? Alright. Well, I guess you don't need to see me tighten the bolts, but that's all I gotta do left here. Alright, I got the oil level sensor put in, the oil drained, the sensor put in, opened the cap here, removed the filter, and I wiped out all the oil because I figured it's gonna come out at some point. So at this point I just got the E10, a couple bolts. There's a forward facing and a backward facing, another forward facing. I think that's maybe it. Double check. There is a bolt on the top, but I don't think that's for this part of it. So I'm going to just go ahead and take these out. I may adjust the camera. And I'm guessing that these are probably one-time use bolts also. So I'm trying to get my list together of everything I need to go to BMW for. Actually, if they're one-time use bolts, I think I can get that locally. I don't have a battery-powered ratchet for a 3/8. And it's kind of a pain to use an adapter on the 1/4 inch. So just do these by hand, kind of, no washer or anything. And that feels like a one-time use bolt. Not exactly the same as the alternator bolt though. That one's super flimsy. This one's kind of flimsy. Extension is the key. Don't got much range of motion this way. Even less that way. I don't have a choice though. Oh, see, this is another one of those where the socket is a little too wide. Might have to use the universal on that one. I don't like doing that, but the last one seemed to work out okay. This one I can get to okay. Oh, that's a different bolt. Look at that. The first one's real long to be able to go through here. This one's shorter. Just doesn't need to be as long, I guess. And this one's probably going to be the shortest. So I guess I got to grab my universal. And guessing game here. Let's see. We said it was the 8mm. I need my 1/4. It is a 1/4 inch set. That's a little tougher to crack a sticky bolt with a 1/4 inch. So hopefully this one will be okay. this doesn't work, I'm gonna need a new socket. I'm gonna get a different length extension for this. Alright, so I got that freed up. You know, and I squeezed this hose to see if there was any pressure on it, and it shot up a bunch of water or coolant. I guess the coolant runs through this thing. So I'm about to pull it apart. It's dripping now. I have a bunch of towels down here. I don't really know what's going to happen. Again, maybe this passes through to here. So maybe all the coolant level from, you know, about that high. I don't know if you can see it, 4 or 5 inches down is where the hose is. You know, it's down about 4 inches. So if I can do this where I can pull it up and maybe take the hose off or something and clamp it in place in an upright position, maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. Let's just see what happens here. Did I get all the bolts? I don't see any more bolts. Except this one, I guess I didn't take out all the way. Actually, just the act of taking it out makes it leak. So that's why I stopped. Figured if something was going to happen, let's get it on camera. So, getting close. It's not like dripping super bad, but I imagine it's going to splash all over. Okay, that's the shortest bolt. Alright, so, well, here goes nothing. Like I said, she's dripping. Okay, so, kind of dripping out of here more. Yeah, this is coolant. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's what the inside of that looks like. I think I'm going to try and squeeze out what I can. Actually, there's more oil here. I had gotten all the oil I had thought. Some more just showed up. Probably could put the cap back on, which I don't see that. So maybe I'll set this down and grab the cap. No filter in there right now though, so I need another towel. So I guess I'm gonna try to kind of pop that ring and get that hose off there. And if you haven't learned by now, good tool for this is a pick, maybe a straight one in this case. I'm trying to find the ideal spot. See, a lot of people are saying pop the end, the 1 foot. I don't know. Maybe if I would have done that, I wouldn't have broken off any ears, but here I am trying it again. Okay, that feels like it's out. I don't know how easy or difficult this is gonna be to. Ooh. Maybe. That might be a little stuck on there. I don't think it is anything tricky. It is dirty though, that's for sure. So I think I can go ahead and pry that. Grab a couple of different pry tools here. Use an actual pry tool. Make sure that the pin is all the way up. Oh, maybe that was it. Let's just make sure the bottom. Okay, so now that came up even more. Give it a test by hand. So that's pretty stuck on there. Now if I break this, it's just a little hose. But we don't want to spend any more money than we have to. We're already into this for a little bit. Maybe I gotta rotate it and see what it looks like on the bottom here. This is really freaking dirty. All this crud. Can't even see what I'm looking at. It's all covered in crud. Obviously I gotta clean all this, which is why I want to actually get it off instead of just replacing this right here right now. Get my little flashlight. I'm trying to see, it looks like there could be a notch. Again, that would just mean that it goes straight out. Yeah, I don't know if I can actually twist that or not. Try it again, I guess. Alright, well, I'm gonna fight with that, see what it takes to get that off. Alright, wasn't too bad. I just had to kind of pry like that and wiggle it around. I was able to come off. And this thing is about to come off. That's that. So, oil filter housing. This is the gasket. So this one I think has a little groove. Maybe right here's a good spot, yeah. Make sure it's not on here now. So this is definitely the gasket. It's in there pretty good. Hoping to be able to just get it started and peel it out. It kind of looks like I got that going here. It also feels like I'm going to stab myself with this pick. Those don't feel good for a couple of days. I'll tell you what, my washing machine is going to work overtime for all of this, what I'm doing today. Stuff is dirty. I can kind of get it started, but I don't got another hand to stick something in there. I just want to get her started. Sorry, doing that off camera. It's being fun. Here, I'm gonna stab toward myself, see how that works. Very underrated, stabbing toward yourself. Everybody says you're gonna hurt yourself, and a lot of times you do, but sometimes you just don't got a choice. Alright, looks like we got, man, just struggling to keep it up while I can get a free hand. Well, you wouldn't think that would be difficult. Alright, so this is coming out. I have no idea how you would check if this gasket was bad other than to see seepage on the outside. To be honest with you, there's so much oil in the engine bay here that it's possible that this wasn't bad, but actually I want to say it had its own special ring around it. There's that. I got the other one right over here. I'm going to clean this thing. This thing is gross. And then before I clean any of this other stuff up, or before I put anything back, I got to clean it up, especially down here. A little bit of oil and coolant spilled on the belt, and so I got to get what I can. I'm expecting that to burn off when I run the car again. Hopefully that won't be a big deal. Yeah, and this is just super goobery, so I'm going to do my best to make it an over-the-counter product and maybe make this part of the job easier. I may have to wait until the valve cover is actually secured on there, so I don't get contaminants inside the engine. Or maybe I'll do what I can by hand, and then see where I go from there. I think I can get in front of here pretty easily enough once the belt is off like it is. So maybe I'll do that kind of towards the end. Again, now would be a great time to change your starter, whether you need it or not. Bad experience for me. Took it apart. It tested good at the store. And so I put it all back together. Had BMW look at everything head to toe. That's where they told me I was missing a bolt and a bunch of other stuff. The oil level sensor and all those other things was because I brought it in to find out what bugs I had in this car. Turns out it was a starter. So even though it tested out good at the store, would have been $300, and you know, would have been over and done with, and pat myself on the back, save a bunch of money. But no, I ended up putting it back in. Not to mention the 2 days that I spent trying to figure out how this came out, and I ended up spending $1,200 at BMW to get that starter pulled. So if you're at this point, spend the $300, get the starter. It probably needs it. At this point, that starter's probably been in for 40,000 miles maybe, so may need to be done at some point again, but probably not for a while. That is a BMW starter, probably brand new. That was probably the bulk of the $1,200. Probably more than $300, I tell you that. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up and maybe put this all together in reverse order. Maybe put this first, then the manifold, then the valve cover. Probably do it that way. But I got a lot of cleaning to do, so and I just need a bunch of cleaners. So we will revisit this in a little bit, I guess.